Video game adaptations. There's something I quite enjoy, you see, because while recently we've been getting more and more adaptations that were actually quite amazing, before 2023 it was a no man's land, man. They were kind of a Russian roulette of quality, where the worst and most common outcome usually was a really bad movie, and the best outcome was mediocre and insane at best. Which brings me to today's topic, the 2018 Tomb Raider movie adaptation. Now, Tomb Raider wasn't a stranger to cinematic adaptations at this point. Somehow there were actually 2 films of the series made before, starring Angelina Jolie of all people as Lara Croft, which was actually pretty good casting for that version of Lara. But those movies are a whole nother can of worms, so let's stay on topic. So this movie is weird. It's very wild and out there, while at the same time being kind of generic. It's obviously very much inspired by the post-reboot era of Tomb Raider games, not only its visual language and storytelling, but its characters as well, especially Lara. Actually, that topic in itself, it's kinda weird to talk about, because this Lara Croft is kind of a weird mishmash of reboot Lara and classic Lara, and at the same time she's something else entirely. We'll get more into that later today though. Today I want to break this movie down to its core so you may be as enlightened as I am, because I consider myself to be a Tomb Raider fan. Not a huge one, but the series has been part of my life for a while, and I do like the character of Lara Croft a lot, and I think she's very important to the world of gaming. And for Tomb Raider fans, I think this movie missed the mark for quite a bit. Not as much as Uncharted, but we'll get to that. So the movie starts with a narration from Lara's father. That's not great. Lara's father in this movie is kind of a big deal, like he's almost as much of a main character as Lara, which is weird, especially because he's totally dead and very much not alive. But he's brought up by a lot of characters and it gets very exhausting after a while. But then we get to see Lara and she looks like Brie Larson. Lara Croft in this movie is played by Alicia Vikander, which I unfortunately did not know who that was at the time. And because of that I didn't, and still don't, know much about her as a person and as an actress. And as far as that last part goes, I think her acting is fine. I don't think she's really doing anything wrong in this movie or anything. She does her best, but the problem really lies in the script and how the filmmakers decided to portray the character of Lara. Because like I said, this Lara is weird. She's a weird mishmash of classic and reboot Lara, while at the same time being something completely different. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, well, we can see that this movie is, like I said, very much based off of the reboot era. And Lara in those games is very much sort of a calm and chill person, not very outspoken. She's almost kind of shy at some points, especially in the first game. She's not really a badass at the start of the game, but she gradually transitions to one as the story progresses, because she has to, because she's forced to survive in the middle of the jungle with people trying to kill her and stuff. But before that, she's just kind of a normal girl who likes to explore, and she's into mysteries and archaeology and normal teenage girl stuff, I guess. But in this movie, Lara has just some of those traits. She's not shy, she's actually sort of cocky and outgoing. As a matter of fact, she's almost like a rebellious teenager who does illegal things and gets chased by the police, and she's also a furry. She does some sort of badassy things before she actually starts adventuring, and when the time comes for her to survive on her own, she still struggles of course, but not nearly as much as game Lara. And those are some things that she actually has in common with classic Lara. Classic Lara was sort of a Black Widow type character. She was this badass, seductive woman that smirks at the face of evil while dual-wielding pistols. She was indeed sort of cocky and confident of herself, which are traits that she kinda share with this movie's Lara, but not with reboot Lara. So at the same time that we have all that, we can also notice that Lara has never been, you know, a rebellious, furry teenager that takes part of illegal paint biking races or whatever that is. But she's also rich and poor at the same time, I guess. She has the classic protagonist thing where her family is rich, but she refuses to use their money for some reason and decides to sort of just live in a shithole apartment. I also don't really think she looks like Lara. I mean, she wears reboot Lara's outfit later on in the movie and stuff, but I don't know, I just really get Lara vibes from her. Maybe if her hair was a bit darker and her ponytail was a bit higher up, I wouldn't be complaining, but whatever. This is just me nitpicking. But yeah, like I said, she takes part in some weird ass underground illegal biking races, where it's sort of a game of tag kind of thing. She's like biking away from everyone with paint leaking out of her bike and a tail sticking out of her but and everyone else has to get her. I don't get this scene. I'm not super sure what it's in the movie. I mean, it's kind of like that scene where Mario and Luigi do their first plumbing job in the Mario movie, where it's more like a lead up to a later scene where they'll be sad and have conflict with their families and stuff like that. Also, she almost kills a guy and she runs over a police car. But yeah, she gets arrested as like the menace she is, and her stepmother, I guess. I don't know who this lady is. She comes to bail her out, and don't worry guys, she's definitely not evil. Don't even worry about it. Do you see how not evil she is? We didn't see that Lara literally lives in a dumpster, and like I said, she needs money but just decides to not use her family's money. This is very common for movie protagonists, you see. They want to be just like us plebs and live in literal trash. So apparently the totally not evil stepmother wants her to take her father's money, but we don't actually know why. She kinda just does, which is a bit of a red flag, but I'm sure that doesn't mean she's evil or anything. But hey, she's in a tough spot at this point, so she decides to take the money. But right before she does, like literally seconds before, this random ass old guy just decides to take that exact moment to give her a Resident Evil puzzle. I don't know what that is. And I have no idea why. Like, why did he give her that before? Like, years before, when her dad disappeared, maybe? So for some reason she decides to take the puzzle to her old family mansion, which looks like that old mansion from Uncharted 3. And the mansion has its own cemetery, kinda like Batman's mansion, and for some reason her dad's grave has a secret entrance. I don't know how she connected the dots to use the Resident Evil puzzle specifically on her mansion, specifically on her dad's grave. And why is there even a secret room on her dad's grave? If it was her dad who made it, how did he even make it in his own grave? Like, what? So she finds some cool stuff there, including a product placement with a video of her dad telling her to absolutely 100% by no means ever go looking for him. Like, for real. Don't go. I'm serious here. Don't go looking for your dad. So she goes looking for her dad, and she starts out by harassing some pawn shop employees who, well, they were actually pretty funny. I'll give them that.
Alan, what have I told you about flirting with the customers?
I'm not flirting. I'm just naturally charismatic. I was not flirting. I'm sorry.
But then she goes to looking for this sailor that will take her to her father or something. But once she gets to the pier, she instantly gets robbed. So a chase scene ensues, and for some reason this scene ends up feeling a lot more like Uncharted than Tomb Raider, even more than Uncharted movie. And it's funny because right at the nick of time, a drunk guy with a gun decides to help her, and he just happened to be the exact guy she was looking for. So she harasses him until he accepts to take her to this mysterious island where her father went, and it's basically the same thing as the first game in the reboot series, except the side characters don't exist. It feels kinda lonely. I don't know, they invented this entire subplot with the drunk guy just as a way for her to get to the island, when I feel like they could have just stuck with the original plot of the game. But hey, at least at this point she starts looking more like reboot Lara, but it's not enough for me. Again, I have nothing against the actress. She does a good job and she's jacked. I appreciate the fact that she got in shape for the role. The dedication is appreciated, but she's just still doesn't feel like Lara for me. And I'd like to mention that while the boat crash scene, because of course they're boat crashes, is really similar to the game, it's still pretty intense and exciting by itself. I don't really have many problems with it. But yeah, they're then teleported to the island, and once they get on the beach, they're instantly kidnapped. I'm not even joking in this one. Once she's ashore, the bad guys are just already there. She then wakes up in a random shack and we get to meet the villain, and he's fine. Like, he's not awful. I don't really remember his name or motivations, but hey, I do remember that he has motivation, so that's something. He does have like a slave operation going on, so yeah, not very sympathetic. So apparently these dudes have been looking for some sort of ancient tomb in this tiny island for like over 7 years, and they haven't even gotten close to finding it. I mean, come on. Oh yeah, and just in case you weren't convinced that the bad guy is crazy and evil, he just fucking executes a random guy in front of everyone, so there you go. So naturally Lara bails out of there, and I'm not even kidding, she's about to get shot in the face by this random guy, but this one specific guard just happened to have his gun unloaded at the exact time when he was gonna take his first shot at her. But yeah, she falls in a river and we have that same airplane scene from the game. It's kinda cool though, because this time she's handcuffed, so it adds a nice extra layer of tension. One thing this film sure has in common with the game is that Lara gets really messed up all the time. Anyway, after a sketchy looking CGI parachute scene, Lara gets ambushed by a random guy in the woods and is forced to make her first kill. And okay, I will admit that this scene is pretty well done. The actress sells the emotion very well, and I was actually kind of feeling for her here, because it's a pretty fucked up situation. I always feel like taking a life in movies is always taken for granted. It's usually treated like nothing, or it's even treated like a celebration at times, like when people blow each other up in Star Wars and cheer or something. So for me, it's good to see a movie that takes the time to show the toll it takes on a person to end another's life like this. It's supposed to be horrible and traumatic, even if the other was trying to kill them. But yeah, after that, her dad just appears in front of her randomly. Like literally, she's just walking and he's there. So yeah, her dad's alive. How unexpected. And he looks like Forrest Gump after running for 2 years and is kind of a crazy cave hermit. And remember how I said that the bad guys spent 7 years not finding the treasure? Apparently it was because Lara's father was leading them away from the right location. Now, I'm glad that you explained that to me, movie, but this brings even more questions, like, you know, how did he do that? So she heard that talk for a bit, but Lara then just decides to get a bow and arrow and straight up take on an entire army by herself. And while that's insane, I kinda like it, because really that's exactly what a video game protagonist would do. The scene itself though doesn't make sense because she's kind of doing a stealthy walk right in the open and no one sees that, but whatever. Maybe their AI is on the same level as Assassin's Creed or something. But she finds her friends and they kinda make a revolution happen right then and there with not a lot of effort, to be honest. But action starts to pick up and it's kinda cool. This movie has some cool action, I'll give it that. Not exactly memorable, but it's entertaining. And even though it makes no sense that she's fighting a bunch of armed gunmen with only a bow and arrow, it's still cool. Like, you do that in the game, so there's that. But then her dad is instantly kidnapped, so Lara is forced to work with the bad guys. And in true Tomb Raider fashion, they arrive on a tomb to raid. They're doing it, guys. It's the name of the movie. And the place is full of traps and stuff like that. And it's funny because they end up doing Lara's job of killing the bad guys for her, so that's convenient. And they get to this one puzzle that's actually pretty cool. It's really video gamey. They have to mess with some lights and colors and stuff, and it does get pretty tense. I do like it, although the dialogue could use a little work.
Where's the floor?
Gone.
So they find the main thing, and what do you know? It's a tomb. There's a creepy ghost lady and everything. It's really spooky. And one of the guys touches her and becomes a zombie. It's kind of like the ending of Uncharted 1. And much like that game, they want to get the girl zombie thing to turn into a bioweapon. Typical Resident Evil moment. It's really gross though, because they only get her thingy. Yuck. But then Lara gets the pickaxe from the game. Cool. They decide it's finally time to fight the bad guys, but her dad gets infected and he very conveniently takes a lot longer to turn into a zombie than the other guy did. Like, the other gun touched the lady and he turned into a zombie very much instantly, but her dad just sort of sits there and chills for a while, I guess. But yeah, he's done for, so he blows himself up with the ghost lady while Lara gives chase to the bad guy that has the girl's thingy. So now it's final boss time. Legendary video game character Lara Croft versus guy. Okay, the fight is pretty cool. I mean, I enjoyed it. I felt a bit bad for the guy because at the end of the day, he just wanted to get out of the island to his family, but he was still a crazy psychopath, so oops. This part is really gross though. She defeats the bad guy by shoving the zombie finger right down his throat, so but yeah, she defeats him and escapes, and this shot is actually pretty cool, not gonna lie. So a chopper just sort of appears instantly after she gets out of the tomb, and they use it to leave the island. I have no idea how the chopper got there at the exact moment that they needed it, but whatever. So yeah, she goes back home, and what? Her totally not evil stepmother was actually evil, and she was actually sort of behind the whole thing to begin with? No way! And at this point she moves on from being Reboot Lara to being Classic Lara. She even has the braid and the double pistols and stuff. And okay, I'll admit that this was sort of a fanboy moment for me. Like when she says she'll get 2 pistols. Come on, that's kinda cool. And the movie ends on a cliffhanger. And the sequel will definitely happen any day now. Any day now. So yeah, the movie's okay. I mean, it's a very basic adventure, I feel. It doesn't do much other than what it's expected to do. I guess it is sort of faithful to the source material, that being the reboot series of Tomb Raider games, but at the same time, it tries to incorporate aspects of the other parts of the franchise, and I'm not sure it does that very well. A lot of the set pieces and action scenes felt very much like the game, so I gotta give it credit for that. It still feels like the movie is just cosplaying as the source material, but it's not nearly as offensive as it was with Uncharted. This is a basic adventure, but it's not hugely offensive for Tomb Raider fans, so I feel like even fans of the series can watch this one and be entertained, unlike the Uncharted movie. This movie's greatest offense is that it's too forgettable. It's very unmemorable. I actually sort of forgot it even existed, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone here. I mean, do tell me in the comments if you forgot about this movie's existence, or if you even knew about it at all. But other than that, this movie is honestly very watchable. I expected to hate it a lot more than I did, but at the end of the day, it's just some dumb fun. Would I hate it more if I was as much as a Tomb Raider fan as I am an Uncharted fan? Maybe, but whatever. Feel free to check this one out if you're curious, but this is one of those movies that won't give you many lasting emotions or memories. Anyway, I'll see you next time. I have some interesting subjects in mind. Good night, Tri-State area.